Hi, Honors Pre-Calculus students. Mr. Durango back for another video in section 10.1 on sequences, series, and sigma notation. You guys are doing well. We're going to talk about when sequences converge or diverge. And so I'm going to start by having us recall the function y equals 1 over x. So just half of the function drawn here, the positive part of it. And we looked at the end behavior of these functions and said that as x approaches infinity, y approaches 0, that function gets closer and closer to 0, but never passes it, I used to say. It also, as we put bigger and bigger numbers of x in this equation, this function converges to 0. And so this is what we mean by converging. And diverging then would be, as x gets really big, the function doesn't settle into one number or converge to one number. That would be called diverging. So we're going to look at that with sequences, and I have an example over here now of a sequence. A sub n equals negative 2 raised to the nth power over 2. And what they want us to do here when we get an equation like this, which isn't really an equation, it's the way the sequence is stated, they want us to actually go ahead and, plot out the first X number of terms and take a look at what the graph looks like to see if it's converging or diverging. It's tedious, but in some cases, you'll get a sequence that looks just like an equation in that case, and in that case, you can put it right into your calculator and you'll see if it's converging or diverging. This particular sequence, I plotted out the first 5 terms, and you can see that they're all over the place. They're getting bigger and bigger, and they're flipping over the x-axis. I plotted some of them here, but it's not settling into anything, and so we would say that this diverges. So I'm going to give you some problems, and you're going to be asked if the sequence converges or diverges. If it looks like this and it has numbers to the nth power, you really just have to bite the bullet and plot the first 6, 7, 8 terms and find out if it seems to be converging to some number. If it looks like an equation, and I'll give you an example of that. A to the n, so this would be another example. A to the n equals negative 3n plus 12. Well, you can clearly see that in this case, it's just a line. And when you plot this, it has a y-intercept of 12, and it falls for every 1 over 3 down. And this, isn't a line because it's a sequence, but when it looks like the line, meaning it doesn't have anything to the nth power, if it looks like a parabola, this equation looks like a parabola, you can also just use your calculator, and these points will, look like this when we plot this one. And as x increases, y looks like it's also increasing or decreasing infinitely to negative infinity. And so if you get something that looks like an equation, you can plug that into your calculator, and you don't have to do the tedious part of solving so many finding so many terms. So anyway, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. And until next time, take care.